So let's pick up around 360. Tiresias comes in. Oedipus makes a fairly long speech, about 20 lines. In the PDF version, this is going to be around 360. And he praises Tiresias as this great seer, prophet, etc., etc. He says, we beg you, we're in your hands, and such. Tiresias' first lines in the PDF are 359 and following. How terrible to see the truth when the truth is only pain to him who sees. I knew it well, but put it from my mind, else I never would have come. I had on the board the other day, sight versus blindness, light versus darkness. I'm adding this one, understanding and or perception versus ignorance, okay? So, how terrible to see the truth when the truth is only pain to him who sees. Oedipus, what? Why so grim, so dire? Okay? Tiresias, just send me home. Let me go home. You bear your burdens, I'll bear my burdens. Notice, he's kind of speaking in riddles. All right? Strange response, unlawful. Why unlawful? Because Oedipus essentially has brought him there to speak directly to him. Oedipus is the king. What he says essentially is the law. You withhold the word of God. I fail to see that your words, that your own words, are so well timed. In other words, Oedipus, you don't realize the truth of what you are saying, of your own words. I'd rather not have the same thing said of me. For the love of God, don't turn away. That's a stage direction, notice. When Tiresias says, I don't want the same thing said of me, that my words were not well timed, and he apparently turns his back on Oedipus to walk away. Don't you turn your back on me, you know. We beg you, all of us, on our knees. Now, that may just be metaphor, and Oedipus is standing up. Or Oedipus may have fallen on his knees in a mark of supplication to Tiresias. Tiresias, none of you knows, and I will never reveal my dreadful secrets, not to say your own. None of you knows what? Tiresias is saying, none of you have a clue as to what is really wrong here. Okay? And he says, and I won't reveal my dreadful secrets. Are the dreadful secrets the kind of secrets that Parson Hooper was talking about in Minister's Black Veil? Personal sins? Probably not. The dreadful secrets is all the quote-unquote prophetic knowledge that Tiresias is initiated into, okay? So he says, I'm not going to reveal that, nor will I reveal your own secrets. Is Oedipus aware of his own secrets? At this point, he is not. He has not experienced what Aristotle calls the recognition, the anagnorisis, okay? And it's the recognition that leads to the reversal, the peripeteia, that Aristotle also talks about, a couple of the terms that are in your book. I'm not going to talk about you. What? You know and you won't tell? You're going to betray us. I'd rather not cause pain for you or me. Notice that second part, or me. What does Oedipus know is going to happen? Excuse me. What does Tiresias believe is going to happen if he reveals the secrets that he knows? We see Oedipus do it in the next 100 lines. Oedipus is going to get angry, and he's going to issue threats and warnings. That's the danger to Tiresias. And it's the pain to Tiresias. You'll get nothing from me. Nothing, you won't talk, nothing moves you. You criticize my temper. Pause. In the manuscripts that survive of this play, none of them around Sophocles' time. No Greek literature survives, almost no Greek literature, survives in anything earlier than like the 7th or 8th century AD. So 1,000 years almost after they were first composed and such. He says, you criticize my temper, the ... All that indicates is pause. He's taking a breath, unaware of the one you live with. You revile me. Why does he bring up the one he lives with? And why does he use that term, revile? What does it mean to revile someone? You just cannot stand them. They're absolutely disgusting. They're vile. They're filthy. He says, you say I'm vile and filthy. I'll break the laws. I hate thieves and such. When you're unaware of the one you live with. See, Tiresias is implying, once everybody knows my deep, dark secrets about you, you will be the one reviled, not me. Bear in mind what I said the other day about Tiresias. In all of Greek literature, and he's mentioned in the earliest Greek literature up to and past Sophocles, okay? He's never been wrong in any prophecy he utters. They all come true exactly the way he prophesied them, okay? So, Oedipus, who could restrain his anger? You talk about my temper. Who could not have a temper with what you're doing? Why? Because what's happening to the city? It's dying because of this murder. Okay? Tiresias, what will come will come. Define fate. In the ancient Greek sense, I had this drawing on the board the other day. Humans down here. The gods and fate exist out there, okay? And they have an influence on us. Fate does not control the gods. Notice it's not fate like that, pulling the god's strings. Fate is kind of equal to the gods, okay? But the gods can see fate, or they can see what fate has in store. The gods know the future, and they often use that to play with us, like a cat with a mouse. Give us a little clue what's going to go on, see how we screw up, try to run away, and then pull us back, etc. All right? So, what will come will come. That's fate. What does that imply? You can't do anything to change it, no matter how hard you try. So, go back for a moment. The prophecy that we're going to hear in just a few moments, the prophecy that Laius and Jocasta received. The one in your womb is fated to kill you, Laius, and marry and sleep and have children with you, Jocasta. I used the other day the image of, So what do? They have the child, they delivered the child, they put a nail between his ankles, they leave him on the mountain to die, etc. And I said, notice, they don't abort him. Because according to this, they couldn't have. They were fated to do exactly what they ended up doing. So, what will come, even if I shroud it all in silence. Tiresias is telling us, I can tell you exactly what is going to happen. But I'm going to keep it shrouded, hidden, darkened in silence. Okay? What will come? You got to at least tell me that. I'm not going to say anything else. Okay? Build your anger to whatever pitch you please. Rage your worst. Build your anger to whatever pitch. What does he mean by pitch? Degree. When he's not angry, he's like this. He says, build it like you build a fire. And stoke it, and stoke it, and stoke it. And when it reaches its highest pitch, 90 degrees, that's when it'll blow. So, Oedipus says, oh, I will. I'll let loose. And then Oedipus says, now I see it all, line 394 in the PDF version. Now I see it. You helped hatch the plot. On what basis does Oedipus make that charge? Does he have any evidence? Does he have any data at all to support that? No. You helped hatch the plot. You did the work, short of killing him with your own hands. Given eyes, as if you had eyes, I would say you did it. That's one of the lines, by the way, the comment, given eyes, if you had eyes, that leads scholars to assume Tiresias is born without eyes. He has eye sockets, but no eyes. Okay? Tiresias, is that so? You think I was involved in a plot. I was part of a conspiracy. I charge you then, submit to that decree you just laid down from this day onward. Speak to no one, not these citizens, not myself. You are the curse, the corruption of the land. Tiresias knows about Oedipus's curse. Someone has told him. Okay? You think you can what does he mean, get away with this? Get away with what? Oedipus has accused Tiresias. What does he think Tiresias is doing? He's throwing it back at him. No, you're the one guilty. Why? Because he's trying to displace the blame. He's trying to get people talking about Oedipus, not about him, so to speak. Okay? Tiresias, I already have gotten away with it. Why? The truth with all its power lives inside me. Okay? Who put you up to this? That's what who primed you for this means. Who put you up to this? Not your prophets. Trade. What is trade? What's he mean by trade? Why do you work? Literally, why does anybody have a job? Money. You perform an action for somebody else, you perform a skill for somebody else, and they give you money in payment for that. What has he just equated Tiresias' ability with? A job. Okay? You prophesy for money. A lot of people, I'll use the United States as an example, a lot of people will not trust a research study, say, about the dangers of, pick something, pot, if it's funded by a cannabis advocacy group. Why? Because the cannabis advocacy group wants to legalize etc., pot. And so the thinking is, because this research is funded by this group, the research is tainted. Okay? The research is bought and paid for, in other words. That's what Oedipus is saying about Tiresias. Your prophecy is bought and paid for. Somebody pays you, and lo and behold, you have a prophecy that kind of matches their goals. His point is, who put you up? Who's paying you to say this? Okay? Tiresias, you did. You primed me. He's not saying you paid me. He's saying you primed. You were the first mover. How do we know? Because it was Oedipus that sent for Tiresias. You said it again? Say it again clearer so I can understand it. You didn't understand? Or are you tempting me to talk? No, I can't say I understand what you're saying. Out with it. Notice, short, simple words. I say you are the murderer you hunt. Wow. Oedipus can't believe it. By God, you'll pay. You want more? So that you can really rage? In other words, you want to really be angry at me? Because I've got more back there that I can reveal. No, go ahead. Your words are nothing, futile. You cannot imagine. Pause. Cannot imagine what? And then it's like Tiresias shifts direction just slightly. I tell you, you and your loved ones live together in infamy. You cannot see how far you've gone in guilt. Hold on just a second. Okay? What's he mean, cannot see how far you've gone in guilt? Oedipus, you think you can keep saying stuff like this? Notice Oedipus doesn't latch on, what are you saying about my family? Tiresias, if the truth has any power, then yes, I can keep on. It does, but not for you, old man. You've lost your power. Stone blind, he says. Stone deaf, your senses, eyes blind as stone. I pity you, flinging at me the very insults each man here will fling at you so soon. Why will each man there throw these insults at him? Because Tiresias is prophesying right here. Blind, lost in the night, endless night that nursed you. You can't hurt me or anyone who sees the light. You can never touch me. You're right. You're right, Oedipus. It's not your fate to fall at my hands. Apollo will take care of that. It doesn't mean Apollo is working for fate. See, the fates did not inform Oedipus what he was going to do. Apollo did. Why did Apollo do that? Did Laius and Jocasta send a messenger to the oracle and say, tell us about this baby we're going to have? Nothing in the myth suggests that. It's on his own Apollo prompted the oracle to deliver this message. For the simple reason that Apollo, could, and to screw up with their lives. That's what the Greek gods often do. Okay? So, when he says it's not your fate to fall at my hands, he's implying, I know exactly how you're going to die. Oedipus. Crayon. That's it. Crayon put you up to this. Again, on the basis of what does he make that assumption? Nothing. There's no evidence. There's no proof. There's nothing that suggests Crayon did this. Crayon's not your downfall. No, you are your own. Okay? So Oedipus launches into this long speech, calls Tiresias a fraud? Okay. Says, how come you didn't solve the riddle of the Sphinx? I mean, if you can prophesy this thing, and you can prophesy this other thing, why couldn't you prophesy the answer to the riddle of the Sphinx? Your prophecy is not, consistent, as it were. Did you help us with that problem? No. He says, this is the man you try to overthrow, meaning me, the one who did solve the riddle of the Sphinx. He says, you think you'll stand by Creon? When he becomes king, Oedipus is assuming. When he's no longer king, Creon will become king. Okay? And the leader kind of intervenes. Remember the other day I mentioned Sophocles introduced the third speaker into drama. The leader kind of does what? Kind of tries to take that middle position, calm down Oedipus, calm down Tiresias. I would suggest his words were spoken in anger. Oedipus, yours too. What's the leader mean? Chill out, man. What happens when two people get angrier and angrier and angrier and tensions rise, conflict builds? Tiresias, you're the king, true, but in one respect I am your equal, line 465. Now, how does he mean I can be equal to the king? The right to reply, I claim that privilege too. And by reply, he means, you have accused me of a crime. According to Athenian law, I have a right to defend myself. I am not your slave. I serve Apollo. I don't need Creon to speak for me in public. And then it really starts going. So, you mock my blindness. Okay. Let me tell you this. You, with your precious eyes, you're blind to the corruption of your life, to the house you live in, those you live with. Pause. Who are your parents? Why does he ask that question? He's planting a seed of doubt in Oedipus's mind. Notice he says, you're blind to the corruption of your life. Is Oedipus aware of any corruption in his life? No. That's why he's blind to it. Okay? You're blind to the house you live in. He can literally turn around and see the palace. Tiresias isn't talking about physical seeing. You're blind to those you live with. He sees his wife every day. He sees his two daughters every day. Again, Tiresias isn't talking about physical sight. And that's when he asks, who are your parents? Do you know? All unknowing, you are the scourge of your own flesh and blood, the dead below the earth, and the living here above, and the double lash of your mother and your father's curse will whip you from this land one day, their footfall treading you down in terror, darkness shrouding your eyes, that now can see the light. Now, was that clear, straightforward? Did he tell Oedipus exactly what he's guilty of? No, he didn't. He spoke in a riddle. Why? Oedipus is the great riddler. He goes on. Soon you'll scream aloud. What haven won't reverberate? What rock of Kithaeron won't scream back in echo? The day you learn the truth about your marriage, the wedding march that sang you into your halls, the lusty voyage home to the fatal harbor, meaning the wedding night, having sex, the whole 9 yards. The fatal harbor, what is a harbor for a mariner? The harbor is the safe place you go home to. It's the place that welcomes you. The lusty harbor he's talking about is literally the marriage bed and sex. But the only problem here is the lusty harbor is his mother. So he says, there, I've said my fill. Now smear us with insults. And he says, get him out of here. Enough, get him, get. I wouldn't have come, but you ordered me to. If I thought you would blurt out such absurdities, you'd have died waiting. Absurd? Okay. Notice every now and then Oedipus says something, and Tiresias really gets upset. Why? Because Oedipus is making a claim or charge against some deep aspect of Tiresias' character. And one of those deep aspects is his forth-telling. Another way of putting that, his truth-telling. To use the modern phrase, he speaks truth to power. Okay? And Oedipus has said, you're a liar. He can't just let him, Tiresias just can't let him get away with it. Absurd? To you, not to your parents. The ones who bore you found me sane enough. Parents? Who is my father? Why does he ask that? Tiresias said, who are your parents? What did Tiresias just say? Line 496 in this one. I'm absurd to you, but I wasn't absurd to your parents. What does that logically mean? Tiresias knew Oedipus's parents. Who are Oedipus's parents? He thinks. Polybus and Merope of the town of Corinth, kingdom of Corinth. Tiresias doesn't live in Corinth. Tiresias is like, prophet for Thebes, so to speak. How does Tiresias know Oedipus's parents? That's why Oedipus says, parents, who? How do you know? Who is my father? Why does he ask that? He remembers the drunk. And we're going to hear that story in a moment. Okay? Who is my father? This day will bring your birth and your destruction. That is, this day your birth will come to light and will also cause your destruction. It doesn't mean he's going to die that day. It means the day will bring not only his real rise beginning, but also his downfall. Okay? So, riddles. Why do you always speak in riddles? But you're the best man at solving riddles. You're mocking me for that? And you'll reveal my greatness, your great good fortune. True, it was your ruin. I saved the city. Okay? Tiresias gets ready to leave. Says, I'll be going. Take me home, boy. Oedipus says, yes, take him away. And Oedipus turns his back on Tiresias, okay, starts to head towards the palace. Tiresias speaks. So Oedipus is walking away, and you can assume that that means he doesn't hear what Tiresias says. You can assume that, but that may not be the case. Tiresias says, I will go once I've said what I came here to say. I will never shrink from the anger in your eyes. You can't destroy me. Notice, I will go once I have said what I came here to say. When he first gets there, what does he say? I'm not going to tell you anything. Now he says, well, this is actually why I came. It's almost like all the intervening lines from his first arrival to here was fated to happen. Like he knew exactly how this was going to play out. I will never shrink from the anger in your eyes. You can't destroy me. Listen to me closely. The man you've sought so long. So Oedipus is walking away. I think Tiresias is looking at him as he walks away. The man you've sought so long, proclaiming, cursing up and down the murder of Laius, he is here. A stranger you may think, who lives among you. He soon will be revealed a native Theban. but he will take no joy in that revelation. Blind, and now his eyes, beggar, and now is rich, he will grope his way toward a foreign soil, a stick tapping before him step by step. Why do you keep doing that? Okay? Who's the you that he keeps referring to? Not Oedipus. It's the audience. Not, remember the drawing I had, the audience, the people out in those seats in that great amphitheater at Delphi. The audience is the chorus, which represents the people of Thebes. Right? He's saying, a stranger, you people out there may think, one who lives among you. But he'll soon be revealed a native Theban. He was born in Thebes. What does everyone believe? Oedipus was not born in Thebes. He came from outside. Okay? Oedipus goes in the palace. And Tiresias says, revealed at last. So Oedipus does not hear this part. He might hear the earlier part, but he definitely does not hear this. Revealed at last, brother and father both, to the children he embraces, to his mother, son, and husband both. He sowed the loins the father sowed. He spilled his father's blood. That's pretty clear. He slept with his mother and produced his children / brothers and sisters. He killed his father. Go in and reflect on that. Now, that kind of implies Oedipus can hear. But remember, Tiresias cannot physically see. He doesn't physically see that Oedipus has gone inside the palace by that point. And if you find I've lied from this day onward, call the prophet blind. Okay? What he says about Oedipus, what he says will happen to Oedipus, that he will be a beggar and he will grope his way toward a foreign soil, that is exactly how his life plays out. In the play Oedipus at Colonus, which is the last play in the trilogy, we see Oedipus being led, I believe, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's by his youngest daughter, Ismene. And he's making his way to the town or city of Colonus. His entire life, from the time when he leaves Thebes till that point, he's never welcomed anywhere. For one reason. He called down a curse on the murderer of Laius and said, may he never be given shelter. May no one ever help him. So he wanders. All right? Chorus comes out. Chorus has a fairly long speech. Who is the man the voice of God denounces? Tiresias is the voice of God. The chorus like, who is it? Do they really not know? The horror is too dark to tell, whose ruthless biting hands have done the work. Okay? The prophet scans the bird, skipping down to line 550, scans the bird, shatters me with terror. I can't accept him. That is, I can't believe what he said, but I also can't deny him. I can't believe it. Why? Because it's too ludicrous. How can Oedipus have killed Laius? But I can't deny him. Why? Because he's never been wrong. Zeus and Apollo, though, he's implying, the chorus, is implying Zeus and Apollo need to make it clear. The only problem with that is you can't make them tell the truth. Creon comes in and he says, I hear Oedipus has leveled charges against me. I had to come. I resent it deeply, meaning I've got to come to defend myself. The charges were made publicly. I need to publicly speak out. Okay? 580. The damage I'd face from such an accusation is nothing simple. Okay? Nothing worse than being branded a traitor. Leader, yeah, okay, yeah. A slur might have come out of his mouth. He didn't mean it. Creon. Charge was made in public, right? Did I put the prophet up to spreading lies? Yeah, but we don't really know the intent of that. It's like, somebody gets arrested by the police for a suspected murder, and a witness is brought. Yeah, John told me he was going to kill Jerry for sleeping with his wife, but I don't know if he really meant it or not. And John's found with the gun, and Jerry's got the bullets from the gun in his body, But we don't know if he was serious. Was his glance steady? In other words, did he look sane, or did he look like a raving lunatic? Can't really say. Why not? Why does the leader not seemingly tell the truth? Where's he being put? Rock, hard place. He's right in between them. Is he going to speak against the king? One loses one's life that way. Doors open, Oedipus comes out. He comes out and just blasts Creon. Creon tries to get a word in, Oedipus keeps going. Creon just keeps trying to get a word in, Oedipus keeps shutting him down. Okay. 624. How long has it been since Laius was killed? Oedipus asked. Creon. Laius? What did he do? Why are you talking about Laius? He vanished. He swept from sight. He was murdered. He goes, man, that was a long time ago. Okay, so you don't give me an exact date. The prophet, was he plying his trade then? Was the prophet at his trade? Creon. And just as good as he is today. Meaning, and he wasn't ever wrong back then either. Did he ever refer to me? When Laius was discovered murdered? No. Not at least when I was around. Notice how Creon smartly modifies his words, okay, so that he doesn't say blanket statement. Well, of course, Oedipus never mentioned you, because Creon hasn't always, Tiresias, because Creon hasn't been always with Tiresias. He might have said something in private, in other words. Oedipus. But you investigated the murder, right? He says, we did our best. And the great seer never accused me then. Bear in mind, we're talking minimum, at least 20 years ago. Because Oedipus has several sons who have already grown up and moved away. The only children he has left are his two daughters. But he never accused me. So why not? Why didn't he accuse me then? Creon, I don't know. And when I don't know, I keep quiet. What's Creon's little point? Oedipus, you are rash. You're impulsive. You jump to conclusions. You need to learn to shut your mouth. You do know, Oedipus replies. And if you had some decency, you'd say, okay, what is it I know that I hold back? Two of you had never put your heads together, we would never have heard about my killing Laius. You and Tiresias have conspired against me. Now, if that's what he says, well, you know best. Why? Because I, Creon, haven't heard Tiresias say that. If that's what you say he says, then you know best. He says, but okay. Now you need to answer some questions for me. You're married to my sister, right? Yes. And what does Creon do in this long question and then speech that begins 652 and goes to 690? He sets up the governmental structure and the system of perks and responsibilities. You're king. You're married to my sister, right? She shares the power equally. He goes, yep. She has whatever she wants. and I'm the third, like a triumvirate. I have power too. He goes, yes, but not for long, blah, blah, blah. And then he goes on and talks about, okay, with all the power that Oedipus has, what comes with that? Think Spider-Man and Uncle Ben. What does Uncle Ben say to Spider-Man? Peter Parker. With great power comes great responsibility. What responsibilities does Oedipus have? Like the responsibilities of the president. To manage the affairs of state. To defend the nation, the state, all that kind of stuff. Okay? What kind of responsibilities does Crayon have as the third powerful person? None. He gets all the perks of the job. That is, all the bonuses. But he doesn't have to do anything. To use the president metaphor again, he gets to fly Air Force One or Marine One whenever he wants. But he doesn't have to solve any of the city's problems. He goes, think about it, Oedipus. If you were in my shoes, would you want to be in your shoes? I've got all the bonuses of office, and I don't have to do anything. I don't have to lose sleep over laws and all that stuff. Okay? Leader says, that's good advice. Think about this, Lord. For anyone who wants to avoid disaster, those who jump to conclusions, because Crayon ends his speech with, I would as soon tear out the life within as priceless life itself. You'll learn this well without fail in time. Time alone can bring the just man to light. The criminal you can spot in one short day. Okay? Because he said, you've jumped to a conclusion, Oedipus. Oedipus, when my enemy moves against me, plots in secret, I move quickly too. I must. I plot and pay him back. What does he mean he pays him back? Does he mean simple retaliation? No. He's talking preemptive action. What does it mean to preempt something? It means to take its place, to do something before somebody else does something. Back during the Bush administration, the second Bush administration, after 9/11, the Bush administration came out with a doctrine. It's literally called a doctrine, preemptive war. They've already struck us once. And the idea was, if we get enough intel that says someone is preparing to attack us, we're going to attack them first. That's why we went into Iraq in 2003. Iraq had nothing to do with 9/11. We know it didn't. Iran did, but not Iraq. Okay? That's why we went into Iraq. We thought Iraq had WMDs. Turns out they had some, but not nearly enough to do any damage. Okay? That's what Oedipus is saying. I know you two are plotting against me, and so what am I going to do? I'm going to get you before you can carry out your plot. Okay? Crayon, what do you want? You want me bad? No, I want you dead. Well, at least he's honest. Just to show how ugly a grudge. You're stubborn. You don't think I'm serious. Oedipus tells Crayon, quit being so stubborn. Fess up. I've got you. I think you're insane. Oh, I'm quite sane in my behalf, but not as in mine. Why should Oedipus be sane on Crayon's behalf? What does justice say the law must do for the accused? It must defend that person too. Okay? Notice, we have a right to face our accusers. That idea goes back to ancient Greece. That's why Creon says he came in. He was accused publicly. He now gets to defend himself publicly. So Creon says, but you're not saying in my behalf. You're my mortal enemy. What if you're wrong? How do you know you're right, Oedipus? No matter. I must rule. Okay, I make a mistake. One man dies. Big deal. I have to rule. Not if you rule unjustly. Hear him, Thebes, my city. Notice what Creon has said. You shouldn't rule if you're not a just ruler, if you're not following the written and the unwritten laws of the gods. Okay? The written laws of the people and the unwritten laws of the gods. There were some. Here's an unwritten law of the gods. You don't kill your parents. Matricide, killing your mother. Patricide, killing your father. Those are both wrong. Fratricide, killing your brother, is wrong. And there's not killing your sister is also wrong. Those weren't inscribed in a physical written law. Okay? Not if you rule unjustly. Hear him, Thebes, my city. Okay, this little interchange between Creon and Oedipus is going to be really important for the next play we read. Titled Antigone. My city too, Creon says, not yours alone. What's he mean by that? Does he mean my city too, like yours, Oedipus? I own the city, because that's what Oedipus means. As king, the city is his. Creon says, no. The city is yours because you are a citizen. You're the king of it, but you are a citizen. I am a citizen too. I have a say. Ancient Athens was a democracy. The United States is not a democracy. People blather on and on about the United States being a democracy. We're not. We are a republic. That means we elect someone to represent us. It's a representative democracy. Ancient Athens was a true democracy. Each citizen had a vote. Women weren't persons, they had no vote. Slaves were not persons, they had no vote. Okay? Leader, please, my lords. In other words, guys, where are they when all this happens? They're out there in front of the palace. Everybody in the town can see them. Okay? Jocasta comes out. Now, keep in mind, who's Jocasta? The queen and Creon's sister. So she's Oedipus's wife, Creon's sister. Listen to her when she comes out. Have you no sense? Poor misguided men, such shouting. Why this public outburst? Aren't you ashamed, with the land so sick, to stir up private quarrels? She looks at Oedipus. Into the palace, now. Who does she sound like? Does she sound like the queen, wife to her husband? She sounds like Mom. John, get in there. And then she turns to her brother. And Creon, go home. Why make such a furor over nothing? And Creon, your husband, he started making public accusations. Oedipus, I caught him. What are they doing? Yeah, but Mom, even though Creon isn't her son, okay? So, the chorus begins to chant. And then Oedipus and the chorus go back and forth. He says, what do you want from me? You want concessions? They say, no, essentially. Jocasta asks the chorus, what's going on here? Loose, ignorant talk. Meaning, They didn't control their emotions. Okay? What did they say? And the chorus isn't clear. It isn't exact. So Oedipus comes out. She says, Oedipus, what's going on? Why all the problem? Oedipus. Creon sent his prophet to do his dirty work. A prophet? You don't need to worry about prophecy. And what does she do? Oh, stop it. She tells the story. And what's the story? And a oracle came to Laius and I one day, and the oracle said that our baby would kill Laius and have children with me. Now, what should Oedipus do at that point? He should go, see. A couple pregnant with a male child, prophecy comes, the male child will kill the father, sleep with the mother. I had a prophecy that I would kill my father and sleep with my mother. Strange hearing you just now, line 801. She's like, well, why? He says, I thought you said that Laius, because she goes on and talks about where Laius was killed. Laius was killed at a place where 3 roads met. The place was called Sophocles. It's probably where we get, ultimately, this word focus from. Why? The 3 things center. They come into focus here. The whole play, in one sense, comes into focus here. She says, yeah, it was called focus. He says, why? And then Oedipus asks, describe Laius. Was he in his prime? She says, dark hair, swarthy, graying at the temples, build kind of like you. What should be happening at that point? Alarm bells going off in his mind. Oh, no. I think I've called down a dreadful curse upon myself. She goes, what are you talking about? One more thing. Did he go with a light or heavy guard? One man or multiple? She said no, he had 5 men at arms, including a herald, and a herald among them. That's a little unclear. Some scholars say that means he had 5 guards plus a herald. Some say it means he had 5 guards and the herald was one of them. Okay? And he's like, oh, crap. Why? Because Oedipus knows he killed a man who had that number of guards at that exact location. That would make him Laius's murderer. Okay? Is that what's troubling him? Well, yes, that's what's troubling him. What does Jocasta say, though? Okay? After Oedipus goes on, and I know we've almost got to leave. After Oedipus goes on and says who his father and mother were, he tells about the drunk at the party. He tells about going to the oracle at Delphi. He tells about meeting this man, killing all of them. One escapes. Okay? And she says, line 937 or so. Yeah, okay, maybe that's all true, Oedipus, but you're missing one thing. The prophecy said Laius's son would kill him. So, either you killed a different man in the exact same situation, or what? She's not saying you're Laius's son. She's saying, no matter which way you look at it, you can't be his killer. That tells you how fruitless, how useless prophecy is. Okay? And if the messenger who came and told us there were multiple killers comes now and changes his story, there's going to be a problem there. Okay? So, we'll stop there. We'll pick up on Monday. We'll finish this on Monday. Go ahead and start Antigone. I'll go ahead and post the quiz, but the quiz won't, and the quiz is over all the intro to drama and all of Oedipus the King. The quiz won't be due until probably Wednesday. That'll give you time, because we'll finish the play on Monday. Okay? Don't forget the exam that's due tonight. I sent an email reminder out today.
I have a question, Mrs. Sherman.
Yeah.